taste example, it occurred to me that in my eeriness, which is an air trait to be airheaded, I forgot to go over the taste characteristics of the elements. So we will do that. So you're totally getting the example today of an air type, okay? Air is a person that tends to be in their mind, so that's where you see me most of the time when I'm listing things off, and then I can forget things at times. And I'm just kind of going with the flow as well, the water side of me, which is, you know, timing is never goes according to time, and it just, you're seeing air and water in action. So as far as the tastes go for the elements, you see on your sheet. Now again, these are going to vary slightly depending on the system that you go by, but in general, what I try to do is bring it together in a very relatable system for our modern culture. So Earth is going to have the taste of sweet, the sweetness. If you think of a really loamy dirt and soil, and if you were to pick that up in the springtime, you're going to smell it. It smells really sweet, right? Fire in the fieriness and the way that they are, they have to take the charge and have 3 tastes. Okay? So they have sour, which we think of like yogurt and sour cream, are a few examples. Salty, that's pretty obvious. And pungent. Pungent is what we think of as spicy. So there's fire for you. Air has the taste of bitter and astringent. Bitter is like your bitter greens, something that makes your mouth pucker. And then astringent is like the facial toner you would use. It has the characteristics of closing and taking out moisture. Okay, so like a facial astringent that many ladies probably use, it kind of has an alcohol-like feeling because it will help close the pores and suck up any extra moisture. And then finally, water. Water also has the characteristic of sweetness, which Earth has at least 70% water, so it makes sense that they have very similar tastes. So when we look at balance, as far as food and taste go in particular, when you want to balance air is very light and airy and dry, so the solid, dense, moist Earth is going to help balance air, which is why opposites attract. So I have a lot of air and my husband has a lot of earth qualities. So we balance each other out very well. And so when you look at foods, which we already had a wonderful self-discovery at this table, when you're in balance, you're going to gravitate towards those foods that help to balance you more. So a lady over here who is identifying with air-type characteristics, notice that she really likes the sweeter wines, like Riesling. Well, the sweet taste is balancing to an air type, and so that makes total sense. Now, it's going to be easier to notice these flavors in foods. As we get into the wine, we're going to have to expand our minds even more because there's some really unique characteristics of wines. But it's going to be last. So we just think of opposites attract, opposites balance. That will help us to understand the balance and imbalance characteristics. It also makes sense when you think of a fire type. A fire type, when they're physically out of balance, will tend to experience heat, like I said before, the ulcers, the indigestion, acid reflux. So a fiery food would be more like a tomato, would be a spicy food, and any fire type in here who's ever been out of balance in that way, when they think of those foods, their stomach already starts going, ugh, because they think of that indigestion that happens. So those are just some creative ways that we can use this to understand what's really going on. Excited to hear from Craig and Tracy. It wasn't until yesterday that I found out what was on the menu, which was really fun. Like John said, I came in here with confidence, knowing that they would put together a menu that would be fantastic to accompany this class and really make an experiential type event that we can learn through. And so I'm excited personally also to hear why they chose the certain things that they chose, because we're each going to have a bit of a different experience. And food is one thing, wine is another thing, and I'm very excited for this. See that they even accompanied the presentation along with elements. So we're going to be starting out with a spring roll, and this is to represent our water element. And when we think of water, unless it's in a solid state, water needs to be contained in order to keep it in an area, right? So you see we have this beautiful blue bowl holding our water element. This is air, and as you see, it's on a beautiful clear glass. This is a good way to look at architecture also and see how the elements are represented in architecture. You see it's elevated up into the air, and it's on glass, which makes it appear very airy. Here we have fire, and wood is actually a balancing characteristic. In ancient Chinese medicine, wood is a balancing characteristic to fire. So rather than this being fiery, although wood is burned by fire, this is a very good match for fire. And we have a little spicy lamb sausage, and well, chef should tell us about the food because it's really, I can't even explain it, other than delicious. And then we have the earth element, which is on, it appears a piece of granite. And granite, of course, is very cool, it's dense, it's heavy, and a wonderful accompaniment to our earth choice here.
Before we bring out Chef, we should let you guys know that this is the kind of treatment that you get at Terra Waconia. We did not discuss with Chef Craig about making things look airy, watery, fiery, or earthy. He took this upon himself to do this, and this is how he understands presenting food to you guys, and in this format. He's read Tara's book and listened to her audiobook and really appreciates what Tara has done. So there's a good partnership going on here. So with that, we bring out Chef Craig.